Hi everyone, I'm Matt LaMarsh with Keller Williams First Atlanta, and this is Selling Sandy Springs. All right, so let's start with who you are and what you do.
Okay, my name's Larry Feldman. I'm a sole practitioner residential real estate attorney in Dunwoody, Georgia.
Perfect. And so how'd you get into that? Was that something that as a kid you were like?
No, it was strictly by accident. So I'm a midlife crisis attorney.
Okay.
Right, the first thing you should know. I sold technology to software basically to major corporations for about 25 years. So I had a strong selling experience and selling background. And then .com came, if you understand or remember that, and it was time for a new career. So I looked at several different things, and my sister-in-law had just gone back to law school later in life, and between my sister-in-law, my mother, and my wife, they ganged up on me, and you don't stand a chance if that ever happened. So I went back to law school, worked for a litigator for a little while, got into the real estate end of things right before the crash. Went back to litigation and then had an opportunity to come back to real estate after things had settled out a little bit. So I litigated a little bit out of the office and then started doing real estate, and we grew our practice in Dunwoody since about 2009. We've been kind of up and running there. So it's been a good ride. As you know, the market has come back. That's a good thing. And it turns out my background selling has been very handy because I usually get a lot of questions that are not legal, but are sales questions. And once in a while I get questions that are finance questions, which is my middle degree. And then rarely I get a legal question. So that's kind of the nature of the business, as you know.
Absolutely.
You know, so that background turns out to work rather well.
Perfect.
In the current business.
Very good. So as far as a real estate transaction or being in that world, I mean, run us through start to finish. Like, are people calling you and agents calling you with legal issues and deed issues all the way up through the closing, or I mean, give us like a quick synopsis.
So really, you want all that handled up front. When you get to the table, you want everything done, everything lined up, and no issues on the table. You don't want surprises. You don't want any excitement. You mostly want time for the buyer to understand those documents. What are they getting into? What's that mean? There's a couple tips and things you try and bring out to them so that they're educated when they leave and not get dazed and confused. And they leave at a happy occasion. So from the realtor standpoint, that's your last touch point. That's the last time you touch them. You want that to be a positive experience. So going out the door, that's all they remember.
For sure.
Right? They don't remember the time you went in that house and you almost fell through the floor, or those other things that might have happened, all the excitement that might have happened. So we try and handle things all up front and early. Some of the dilemmas we face are, if there's a title issue. We had one the other day. I think the wrong lot was transmitted from prior buyer. So we had, lot 26 was sold and it was supposed to be lot 25. So we ended up tracking down the prior seller in Tennessee. They're still alive. And we found them through some software we use and actually got them to re-execute a new deed, transferring the proper corrected deed. So we got all that handled before anything happened, but that could have been a real disaster.
Yeah.
So we always, and I let the agent know, hey, we may have a title issue. And that's sort of a dilemma in our office. It's something that you can handle. We're not going to bother the agents, right? They just want to know we're going to get there. When it starts getting a little hotter, you want to let them know there may be an issue, but don't panic. We think we have it under control, but you don't want to walk in the day before and be running into a surprise or some other thing, because sometimes they have a way to solve the problem, or they have somebody they can go back to. So it's something that it's a delicate balance. We try and keep them uninvolved unless necessary. It's not typically something they have to get involved in unless we have a real problem. So we've had, once they get in the door, we've never not closed one. So we take care of all that up front. So I got a very experienced staff. I've overhired, and I try to keep them with available time. So when people call in, we can work through those issues and problems, and they can always reach somebody.
So tell us a little more about you.
We moved to Dunwoody in '94.
Okay.
So I've been in Dunwoody in the community for a while. I've gotten involved in the community in Dunwoody. I was served a term on the Dunwoody Chamber of Commerce. So I'm familiar with the business entities there and some of the business people here in town. We support Lemonade Days, the DPT. Been doing that for years. The Dunwoody Nature Center. I'm involved in the CAC. My wife has donated time there, and I usually go and donate stuff when they have their auctions at CAC in Sandy Springs. So we're pretty involved in the community. Involved in it's American Israeli Chamber of Commerce Connects is the name, and they're based out of Sandy Springs. So we're kind of involved in what's going on in the city, and I feel like it's an obligation. We're here to try and do that. I volunteer at the high school once a year. I think they have a Dunwoody High School has an award that they present, the PTA. So I sit on the board that helps choose the winners. They're a pretty impressive set of kids and curricula that they run. So it's it's fun. You're here. You got to give back to the community. That's where our business is based. That's where I live. We're a boutique shop. We're high touch. We like to say high touch and reasonable cost. So your client, it's hysterical. I had one of my mortgage guys call me up and said, Larry, if I charge $400 more on my mortgage than the next guy, they'll skin me alive. But the attorneys are charging $400 more than you, and they don't seem to care. So I guess that's a good business.
Absolutely.
So that's our value proposition. That's what we try and do. I've had somebody say, we're the best attorneys I've ever dealt with. And I said, really? What was that criteria for us being the best attorneys? He said, well, you guys actually answer the phone. So I think it's a very high bar that gets set. So I'm told we're old school, but I built the practice the way I want to be treated. I live in Dunwoody. I got a house in Dunwoody. I want to be in touch with people. I want to be able to talk to them. If I had a problem, I'd want to be able to go by and discuss something with an attorney if I needed to, and have questions answered when I called, and not get voicemail. We don't have a voicemail in the office. There is no voicemail in the office.
Wow.
Yeah, I have it because I'm not in there all the time doing these things. But you won't. My staff is there to answer phones and take care of people. So it's just a slightly different approach. And the more experienced the agent, the more they appreciate that.
Yep.
Because it offloads some of their worries and some of their time, and they know things will get handled right. So it makes their job easier. You guys got a lot going on.
For sure.
But we're just one part of that. The agent's the other part of it, and your mortgage, getting the right mortgage guy can be the other part of it. You get sunk by that process. And I've pulled agents aside before and said, look, I love you. You're terrific. You bring me business. But there's 3 of us in the canoe rowing, and he ain't rowing, and we're going in circles. All right, you need to find somebody that can deliver on the mortgage, right? That's responsible, that delivers. And there's a lot of mortgage guys that kind of live with that and deliver on time all the time.
Sure.
And any one of those components, including your home inspector, can kind of backlash on the client. So it really comes to being part of the great team and working together. And the more we've worked with certain mortgage guys, the more they say, I'm just sending everything to you. You guys get it. You're calling me if there's a problem. We're on top of it. The teams work together well. And that frequency builds something that shows at the closing table. So my job gets easy at the table. I can joke around. We can have some fun. And I can cover all the things they need to understand. If they're a first-time home buyer, we'll give them an extra half an hour to get everything done. I want them to walk out and understand what happened and not feel like they were hit by a bus and not know if they own a house or what to do next. Sign here. I had that experience on a refi once, and we walked out. The young attorney walked out of the room. It was before I was an attorney, and my wife turns to me and says, 3 years of law school for that? So I try not to do that. And if you're in a hurry, I get it. If you got an investor, they just let me get the docs out. They've looked at it. Well, they've looked at everything already. They understand what they're looking at. They don't need any explanations. But we've had crazy things happen that you feel like you just want to make sure people are informed of. So first-time home buyers, I think last year I've had 11, which is the craziest thing, cash buyers come in without insurance on that house.
Wow.
11 without insurance on the house. And some were from experienced agents, but they just forgot. They got busy. It was crazy. It was hectic. So I won't let them leave the office without that. We talk about how to get rid of mortgage insurance if you've got it. I explained to them how to save $100,000, $200,000 on their mortgage over the life of the loan, because my middle degree, which I don't get to use anymore, is in finance. So we throw that in. And so they walk out of there feeling pretty comfortable, pretty confident, and understand the best that they can out of that situation.
So if an agent is watching this, even if a normal consumer is watching this and is like, all right, so my next transaction, I really want to use him, and I like him, and I like what he's saying. I like, kind of the convenience, but also the security that comes with that in a transaction, because as you know, there's a lot that can go wrong in that process.
Absolutely. So it's death by 1,000 cuts is how I describe it. There's any number of hundred of details that can get you in trouble on the way.
That's right. So in addition to having a great agent, obviously a great attorney alongside, what's the best way for them to reach out, touch base with you if they're thinking about selling, especially as we get into the spring, or buying for that matter, and handling the whole process? What's the best way for them to get
they can call us or hit the website, Feldman Law Offices, feldman-law.net, www.feldman-law.net. They can call me at the office. If they call, I actually answer the phone, not all the time, but I'm there. They just need to say they're an agent, they want to meet us, and I suggest they come by ahead of time, sit down, meet the staff, so they understand, number one, where we are, understand who they're sending contracts to and who they're talking to when they start dealing with us. This is what you want to do, feel comfortable. Like I said, it's the last time you touch them, that's what they remember. It's all good, and they go home smiling, and that's
right.
what's important.
That's right. Awesome. Larry, thanks so much.
Hey, thanks,
I appreciate
Matt.
it.
No problem.
Great job.